Well, my name is Alan Hollie. I'm an amalgamated transfer 1555, rank and file member, and formerly 192 rank and file member. So we having an informational meeting today about actually about a so-called tentative agreement that was agreed upon by our president, business agent, and executive board without being brought back for a vote to the membership. Well, first, I'm concerned about the pension swap. I don't understand any of the language, and what particularly bothers me right now is how our president, business agent, and executive board only uses the Constitution and general laws of ATU to their benefit to help sell a concessionary contract to the members.
And there were 2 deaths here of 2 workers who crossed the picket line. Were those deaths preventable?
Of course they were preventable. Actually, I warned the district at the board of director meeting that they would have blood on their hands and they weren't fulfilling their fiduciary duties to provide safe, reliable, hostile-free, workplace violence-free transportation in the workplace. And if those 2 individuals would not have crossed the picket line, which when somebody crosses the picket line what they are, they're a scab. So if they wouldn't have been scabbing, they'd be here today. Well, first, I have been trained by the BART Training Center, which is about 16 weeks long, and then I had to get my certification. I can't flunk any of the safety parts of the questions or the checkout. And then I'm certified by the Department of Transportation. Now, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead. What was that?
Okay. What do you think? I mean, the accident. I mean, how could they have a trainee driving a train?
Well, first, I didn't understand that, how they had a trainee driving the train, and then I'm not even sure if the person that was training the trainee was certified to train or had been the same certification as train operators. It was really sad. My condolences go out to the family. However, they had no business out there. They chose to cross the picket line and put their lives in danger.
And the managers and executives who ordered this and the board of directors who approved it, what do you think about that?
I feel like they ought to be held accountable. I'm not sure if it's...
you think they should be criminally prosecuted?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at least for criminal negligence or manslaughter. I'm not sure. However, they didn't need to be held accountable. Because when you look at, we have a book that's called ORP, is Operation Rules and Procedures, and it states we always have to take the safest course of action. Now, just me as a train operator, I know in that area you have, there's always been a dip. Actually, we've called the dip in several hundred times since I've been here, and we always told, oh man, there's nothing there. And then second, when I'm out there on main line, when I see a group on the ground, I'm supposed to hit the air horn. If I hit the air horn and they don't acknowledge me by a wave, I shut it down and contact Central. And also, due to some prior deaths, they're supposed to make announcements that track crews are on the ground, and we as train operators have to, remember that there is a track crew on the ground somewhere in the area we operating the train.
So it should not have been going on 70 miles an hour in that area?
If it was 70 miles per hour, no, I don't think so.
And have you ever heard of a trainee running a train without supervision in the booth?
Absolutely not. Actually, I believe it's in our rules and regulations that if you're a trainer and you're not in that booth, and there's a trainee operating the train, that you could be disciplined up until fired. And the reason why you have to have a certified trainer always observant is because they're watching the trackway and they're monitoring the radio. And so if they see a hazard, they're supposed to hit that stop button.
And it took a long time for them to shut down the rails. What happens when there's an accident? They're supposed to shut down?
Well, the first thing I've been taught, train ID number, location, BART emergency, train 963, milepost 16.1 on the C1 track. Kill the power. And the reason is to kill the power is because if someone's on the line, you know, to keep people from being electrocuted or further harm to whoever may respond. Then they give me a time and a hold. And then if I need to go, they make me the incident commander. Once I'm the incident commander, if they have me go out of the train, I have to get work orders, read them back verbatim before I get off that train. Well, I mean, like, when we hit the stop button, you hear the alerter, right? So when I heard the tape, there was no alerter. So were they already stopped, or were they in road manual? That's the question to be determined by, I guess, the NTSB.
Now, the concession bargaining, or aggressive bargaining, the union originally said they're not going to take concessions. Yet apparently they've been involved in regressive concession bargaining. What's going on with the union leadership? Okay,
personally I feel like the union is letting the district and public opinion dictate how they negotiate for the contract. And instead of listening to the members who they are elected, whether I voted for them or not, to gather all the evidence and bring it back to the body for a vote. And I even asked the international president, Larry Hanley, I sent him a letter and I asked him about the oath of obligation, which quotes, we swore unto God under the oath of obligation, that part of it says, I will not take the place of another member of this organization or any member out on strike or locked out. So why was 192 allowed to continue working while we were locked out the first time we went on strike? And also, where in writing is it in the Constitution or general laws that the president, business agent, and the executive board have the right to arbitrarily decide not to bring a vote back to the membership before we go back to work?
So you feel that you should not have gone back to work without a vote of the membership?
Well, I feel that absolutely. I feel like you know, it could have been brought back to the membership, and then we decided yay or nay, and then whoever was the majority, that's what we were to honor. And personally, I'm upset because they gave us amnesty 48 hours the first time. So this time they gave us amnesty for 24 hours. So what that did was most people could take off yesterday, but if they took off today, they'd have to use their own personal time if they could. However, they can't attend this informational meeting, which I think was designed to have that effect to cut down the number of people that would be able to attend this meeting. For example, the last informational meeting we had at the Trans-Pacific building on 11th and Broadway, which was accessible by BART, bus, and you could drive. This is more isolated for operators.
Now, there was no meetings of all, a rally of all ATU workers in Northern California. The International apparently told people to take concessions, and also you were on a picket line at the Port of Oakland, and an official here said get off the picket line. What happened with that?
Well, basically, the official, Chris Finn, I'll quote him. We were out there picketing, Pier 30 or 32, right, where it's a BART access. So we picketed in the morning. They asked us were we coming back in the afternoon. I know a lot of these guys personally, and I gave them my word I would be back. We went back to picket, and there was supposed to be a restraining order, which was false. Police chief, he didn't really come to threaten us. He just said at that time, he told us that you have to, you're not unable to obstruct traffic, but you can walk back and forth. Then we had our recording secretary come up and basically, quote unquote, his name is Chris Finn, that said, get the fuck out of here.
So who was he representing? He threatened people?
Well, I believe he represented the district. And not only is he, that incident, there was an incident where the station agent rep went to speak at the rally at Franco Gawa Plaza, and he physically grabbed her arm and tried to restrain her. And then also at the same time, there are three station agents that he has said, hey, shut up and get the fuck out of my face. So if he would take that kind of attitude toward the district, maybe we'd have a fair, equitable contract.
Well, he said that they were inches away from a contract agreement, as well as Antoinette Bryant, that they were very close. Thomas Hawk and these people in the district seem to have got some of the concessions that they wanted.
Well, first, Thomas Hawk was bought in to, well, it was a malicious intent to harm effectively the whole group, not only the union, but also the community, because we have a right, a fiduciary duty to provide safe, reliable transportation and not put the public at risk or the workers. And I just find it odd that Thomas Hawk was in Disneyland giving a seminar on to win negotiations through unions, while our group was sitting at the table allegedly negotiating.
And the district, how much did the district pay him? The district paid him?
I think about $400K. I'm fed up with the politicians who we've given a whole bunch of money to for many years. However, whenever we talk about, or I suggest that we educate the membership of the power of our labor, where we have to look out not only for the unions but the communities we work in, oh no, 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 no. We can't, we don't want to do that. It's always we have to go to our legislative process, who right now, the Democrats are leading this attack against the workers. You know? They are no friends to labor. Mark Desagne is somebody that our union has given over maybe $100,000. And actually I went to one of his barbecues, you know, thinking that he really had our best interest. But you see, as soon as it's convenient to, you know, gather some votes, he turns his back and want to introduce legislation to keep us from striking. And then another thing that pisses me off, there was an incident at the Orinda station where allegedly this guy that's trying to get a city council assaulted the station agent, right? I mean, the cameraman turned and hit him with the camera. Then as he was walking away, he stepped on the agent's foot. So BART Police Department refused to arrest this guy, and the station agent rep showed up and wanted to know for the record, were they refusing to arrest him, so they did a CA. However, you didn't see no coverage of that on the news. And then when they do tell the story, they tell the story of, they don't cover the assault. All they talk about is this guy is out here trying to prevent us to strike, and then give you a link to sign the
to encourage people.
Yeah, the legislation for us not to strike. Well, listen, first, George Figueroa was the strike coordinator that organized us, you know, and prepared us with our strategy. He was framed on trumped-up charges, right, and fired, and there was no support from the union. Bureaucrats. I mean, the rank and file had to take a collection to hire a lawyer for him. But let myself or anyone else that speaks out for the rank and file, what we demand, because what our labor creates the wealth, and we in a position that of leverage where that's unique, you know, to a lot of work sites. I mean, in August 2009, in the Wall Street Journal financial section, it stated, hey, if these guys walk out, they affect the whole economy.
So they were hurting. I mean, you could have won.
Oh yeah, they were hurting. And so, I mean, I believe the morale is low now. I mean, you gave us amnesty. Why wasn't there amnesty for George Figueroa to return?
Well, he was
arrested in France, especially after the two workers that crossed the picket line and were scabbing were killed, and they wanted us back, and our so-called elected officials would bend over or give anything to get us back. Why couldn't you at least demand that George Figueroa be reinstated with full pay and an apology be given? Well, not only that, he is a true rank and file revolutionary amalgamated transit 1555 member, but to make an example out of him. And I even have to admit to you now that I could not really afford not to to strike, but I couldn't afford not to go out on strike because there were people before me that fought and died so I can have what I have now. So in the United States of amnesia, you have Americans, right? They will fight the day after Thanksgiving at Walmart or maybe even kill you to get that discounted iPad. But when it comes to fighting to stand up, to hold on to what we had to pass on to future generation, it's a joke.
Well, Larry Hanley has said that he's going to fight Hawk and Veolia, and he's really going to support transit workers. Where has Larry Hanley been in this whole struggle in Northern California?
You know what I have? First, Larry Hanley allegedly flew into the Bay Area on July 3rd. We were put back to work on July 4th. So I find it kind of odd that first, our union, our local is 40 years old. We've been paying per capita for 40 years. There was not one commercial, not one radio ad, not one newspaper ad. Instead, they gave what they paid the hack, Sharon Cornu, so much money a month, right, to be our political organizer or information officer, and I think she was just doing the job that the Central Labor Council is supposed to do. And not only Sharon Cornu, but to have someone like Josie Mooney, who makes $8,000 a month, to tell us what we deserve. And the National Vice President, Claudia Hudson, have you even seen her make any kind of...
What has Claudia Hudson been saying to the members? She's the international rep. She's supposed to represent the international?
I'm not sure. All I know is I asked her, how much did they give you for your integrity? The same way I asked Amalgamated Transit 192 President Yvonne Williams, how much did they give you for your integrity?
And there was a potential of the AC 192 and BART ATU1555 going out together.
Right.
Solidarity. Do you think they were afraid of that? And why would Williams say that was transit Armageddon?
Well,
why don't you talk about transit?
You know, I really can't speak for Yvonne Williams. I'm just really surprised because I just find it kind of is sad that in 2013, in the city that had the last general strike was started, the flashpoint was with Amalgamated Transit, to have the power to empower both locals, 192 and 1555, to shut the whole Bay Area down and have other locals that are still out under contract to join us and demand a fair, equitable contract, which would allow us to afford food, clothing, shelter, health care, transportation, and medical, right? And to take that opportunity, and I believe to maliciously keep us separate, to keep us from noticing or realizing our real power in unifying. You know, that was almost, what, 750,000 people we could have stopped moving.
Now, Gavin Newsom at this press conference said that he is not going to allow this to happen again. What does that mean?
Well, to me, it's just letting you know, well, if you watch the interview, you see how they just bully their way up to the pulpit, right? He's not going to allow us to let this happen again, you know. And if you really think Gavin Newsom is looks out for labor, just go to TWU, yeah, Transit Workers Union 250, the Muni operators. If Gavin Newsom is a friend of labor, well, pretty much he led the attack and the extortion and the public sentiment to turn on the workers and basically force them to accept concessions.
Do you think there's a racial component, a racist component on the attack on transit workers, many of whom are black and Latino, and other public workers who are black and Latino? Do you think there's a racist component in this whole effort, and with BART management and the politicians?
Well, you know, actually I would call it like a white supremacist entitlement attitude, which you could say is racist, because most of the workers now at public transportation companies are people of color. And for many, many years, it was okay to have a pension, a COLA, and all your work rules. And now it seems that Yeah, now we're under attack. And actually, you know what was really interesting? While we were walking the picket line, a lot of the guys that flipped us off and cursed at us were white men.
And the tech billionaires, the people who profit from, I mean, there's a lot of money. They say there's no money, but the Bay Area is booming right now.
Well, look, we live in a world of abundance, but they have us thinking that there's a scarcity and that we have to attack each other, or you know, it's like that victim mentality. Well, what, you all want us to make Walmart wages? I mean, it's easier, like I said, to fight for that iPad at Walmart the day after Thanksgiving than to stand up to the big bosses and the international banksters, gangsters.
And do you think your membership has learned some lessons about who their leadership is?
Well, I have. I've always known. But
you think some members got woken up as a result of what happened?
Yeah, I think there are members. See, a lot of members never been through a strike, you know, and so for them to go out for not 4 days but 8 days and not receive nothing, it's almost like a shock and awe, you know. So, however, there are members that are waking up. However, it would have been nice for them to be awoke before all this started.
So you think there's going to be a change in the political situation in the local?
Well, actually, I hope so. I mean, they have there's a group of 200 here. It's like a country club. So they pretty much extort, dictate, hack their way, are shills for the Democratic Party in the district. And so I noticed that more people are starting to wake up and see it. However, those same individuals had to take a stand and stop people like George Figueroa, not stop people, but however, you have somebody like George Figueroa, you had the station agent rep here at 1555 and myself, we're usually the ones standing up. It's time for them to stand up and be counted, because what's going to happen, you know, they may like you now, but when that group turns on you and you isolate it, you're by yourself.
Now there's a pension attack. Governor Brown is suing to cut your pensions, transit workers. There's going to be an attack on public workers next year to attack public workers' pensions. How is this onslaught against public workers going to stop?
Well, you know, I heard a quote before that the most dangerous thing in a free society is people that believe that they're free. I mean, I'm not sure how long or what it's going to take for an individual to finally wake up and want to fight back, but it's obvious. It's obvious that they want to attack all working people, not just the unions, but all working people, and just not even throw the bread out for us to fight anymore. And with automation right around the corner, oh my God, it's scary. One of the questions I'm still waiting for to be answered is, how did you, as the president and business agent and executive board, not bring back to the membership of the body a vote on if we wanted to return back to work? Or who's giving you authority to choose for us that the media or arbitrations could represent us?
And did they answer that?
Well, the answer was that BART had requested the mediator, so the mediator was there. However, you did not have to go along with that, and I felt like that could have been brought back to the membership for a vote. And then the people that agree or disagree, but the majority would have won. The same way like returning us back from strike, not only once, but twice, without asking us. And then they still can't provide in writing where the bylaw or constitution allows that. What's really terrible is we had 2 unnecessary deaths, and I warned them that they would have blood on their hands. Unnecessary. And I'm not sure, like again I said, I'm not sure when we started memorializing scab workers. No offense. And somebody has to say it, so I said it. The thing I find really offensive about the arrogance of the general manager and the BART board is after they had those 2 bodies and they were still fresh, there was nobody that, you know, they still were condescending and didn't want to negotiate. And actually, our elected officials At 1555, not one of them, not even the train operator rep, Jesse Hunt, stood up and demanded a full criminal investigation and a resignation from the general manager, Grace, and the entire BART board of directors. And they need to be held accountable. And karma. Amalgamated Transit, you had the opportunity here to go down in history as the leaders that fought back and stopped the attack against working class people. However, instead you decided to roll over and play dead. I mean, if I spit in your face, I slap you, I throw you down, kick you, stomp on you, slander your character, and I'm still waiting for you to negotiate in a fair contract? Come on now.